You're listening to The Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
The Senate will act quickly as the session ends in just days. Click TuscaloosaTrend.com for more local news. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
The Gary Harris Show. UCM hosts Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning and welcome into the Gary Harris Show, the TGIF edition. It is an absolutely beautiful morning on this Friday, April 12, 2024. I'm your host, Gary Harris. Got Justin Jones right there on the other side of the glass, manning the controls, taking your phone calls in this first hour on the First and Main Condominiums hotline at 205-342-9904. Was a little nippy out there this morning. It was cool, but it's warming up nicely. Going to get into the low 70s today, and then tomorrow right around 80, and even warmer on Sunday. So it's going to be a delightful weekend for Alabama sports. And, you know, we've had some weekends with a lot of rain. So this is a weekend where there's going to be no issues for baseball at home against Arkansas, softball at home against Texas A&M, 8A tomorrow afternoon at 3. Weather, not a problem. It is going to be absolutely gorgeous all weekend. A Chamber of Commerce weekend is on tap, and we're going to get it started here on the TGIF edition of the Gary Harris Show. You know what that means? It means a lot of fun, a lot of great music to get you ready for the weekend, great guest, our Krispy Kreme Donuts for a Year giveaway, plus Krispy Kreme 100% heavy cotton T-shirt that we'll do in the second hour and give that away again. We've given away 2 Donuts for a Year cards already. Going to give away a third and a T-shirt again today. Look forward to that. And plus my one-on-one interview with Kalen DeBoer that I did yesterday. More on that coming up in a moment, more on our guests. But first, I do need to tell you, this hour of the Gary Harris Show brought to you, as always, by my friends at Alabama Credit Union. Not only are they my friends, I'm a member. I love that organization. They are as good as it gets. And you need to find out why it's an advantage to become a member of the Alabama Credit Union as opposed to being a customer at a traditional banking institution. AlabamaCU.com is the website. It is an outstanding website. AlabamaCU.com, or just stop by one of their many offices, including their main office right here in Tuscaloosa. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. Some rules and restrictions do apply. See if you're eligible for membership, then join today and feel good about your money. And put a little extra change in your pocket. All right, here's the lineup for today. Rob Brown is going to join us at 9:30, new guest. But I've been a guest on his show now for a couple of years, off and on. SEC Sideline Sports Network out of Memphis. Outstanding sports caster with great knowledge of the SEC. And Rob is going to join us this morning at 9:30. Adam Amin had a airplane flight conflict this morning. He's with the Chicago Bulls, and something happened with their flight as far as a time change. So he texted me this morning and said he was not going to be able to make it on this morning. He was going to be on a plane. So we got Rob to come in, and then at 10:30, it's Brett Pritchard with the Auburn Report. Also, as I said, I sat down yesterday for a television interview with Kalen DeBoer, close to 15 minutes, and I'm going to run that for you this morning. Obviously the audio version, and can't wait to play that. Plus, Coach DeBoer met with the media after practice yesterday. He did not comment on the situation out in Washington with the running back, but he did issue a statement yesterday through the University of Alabama, and I'll read that for you here in just a little bit. Also, some topics before we start taking phone calls this morning. As I mentioned, baseball at home, softball at home. We're going to get into that. 8A tomorrow afternoon will be offense versus defense. It won't be your traditional, the way it's been under Nick Saban with 2 different teams. It'll be offensive versus defense with a scoring system. Coach DeBoer said that's the way he wants to do it, and the way he's done it in the past. Also, the Masters, we'll give you an update there. Tiger Woods is at 1 over after his first round. He was 1 under through 13 holes, but had to come back out this morning and play his final 5 holes. Jordan Spieth, you might have heard on our Fox Sports Update, took a 9 on the 15th hole yesterday. He's at 7 over, trying to wrap up his round.
Funny enough, that just popped into my head, though, Gary, the 15th, that hole, something with Jordan Spieth, that's the famous hole he hit it into the water and
on.
lost it, yeah.
Yeah, he's a talented player, but he's like a lot of them now, you get lapped out there in a hurry. You know, it wasn't that long ago that Jordan Spieth was Scotty Scheffler. You know, it wasn't that long ago that Justin Thomas was Scotty Scheffler. And, you know, they're still 30, 31 years old. It's not like they're old guys, but the caliber of player that's coming onto the tour, you know, Justin Thomas has struggled for the last couple of years. Jordan Spieth has struggled. Others that were A-listers a few years ago are now guys that you're not hearing too much about. So anyway, the leaderboard right now, Bryson DeChambeau -7, Scotty Scheffler -6, Max Homa -5. Other guys are already started their second round. Justin Thomas shot even par yesterday. Nick Dunlap shot 5 over. I think Lee Hodges, what did he wind up at, 2 or 3 over? Justin, check that when you get a chance. Those are the 3 Alabama golfers that are in the field. But Justin Thomas battled through, got to even par with a new caddy on the bag after letting go of Jim Bones Mackay. So maybe he can come back and shoot a red number today. If he's able to do that, maybe get himself in position. But right now, even though DeChambeau shot 7 under, I think Scotty Scheffler is the pick. It's like picking UConn in the NCAA tournament. It doesn't guarantee you anything, but you know when you make that pick that's a guy, Scheffler, right now, that he's the best in the world. And he carved out a 6 under 66 yesterday to be one back. All right, so we got a lot of topics to cover this morning, and we're going to go ahead and jump out on the First and Main Condos hotline. And Corey from over in Trustful is with us. I know he wants to talk some Bama softball heading into this series against A&M. Before we go to Corey, I ran into Patrick Murphy yesterday over at Who's Q and Brew when I went over there after the news to grab some dinner. And we talked for a few minutes and talked about the SEC storied special that's coming up Monday night, and Murph is always in a really, really good mood, and always just a lot of energy, excited about the series this weekend. So I was able to visit with him for a few minutes in kind of a casual setting. But right now, speaking of softball, let's jump out on the First and Main Condos hotline and find out what is on Corey's mind. Corey texted me yesterday and said he didn't think he was going to be able to call in, but I guess the schedule changed. So glad you can make it, Corey. Good morning.
Good morning, Gary. Yeah, my procedure isn't until 10, so I got lucky and able to call in this morning. But very excited about this series with A&M. Got a chance to make up some ground in the SEC. And if you remember, A&M was at the top of the standings for a good bit. Then they got swept by LSU. And then they're I think they're like maybe third in the standings, but they're still a very dangerous team, and it's going to be a tough series to win, but it's at home, great weather, and a chance for Alabama to make up some ground. And if we can have some good offense and pitching and defense plays well, we have a chance to win this series. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm just saying that there is a chance we can win this series, and I think these two teams are evenly matched. I mean, just because A&M is ahead of us in the standings doesn't mean they're significantly better. I mean, you can, if you know who Amanda Scarborough is, who played for A&M, she said that they played kind of the softer part of this SEC in the bottom part. So, and they got swept by LSU, so they've kind of had an easier road in the SEC. But the competition for them is really about to step up when they come to Alabama. So, I think Alabama can take 2 out of 3. It's possible. If the offense comes together and Beaver pitches well and Brisky, and then defense plays clean, so that there's a chance that we can take 2 out of 3. And but their ace pitcher is really good, so this is not going to be easy for the offense. Their ace pitcher that they have is one of the best in the SEC, so this will be a tough series for both teams offensively.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I like what you said. I agree with you. Last weekend we sat here and I told you that I thought Alabama would sweep Ole Miss. I didn't think that it was, any other outcome. That was the outcome that I believed that they would get. And because I don't think Ole Miss is very good. And it was a big series for Alabama, though. It got them back to 6-6 in the conference. And I'm with you. I think that this is a pretty even series, but Alabama's at home. And, because of that, I like Alabama to win the series. And, Saturday, Sunday, Monday series. And, of course, Monday night's going to be a special night because it's going to be a mic'd up Monday for softball. And then after the game, they're going to have the special that I was just talking about. I think it's called Bama SB. And that's going to come on SEC Network. Yeah, Bama SB is, I think, the first SEC story that's going to be featuring a softball team from the 2012 National Championship team. And it's based really, this is one thing that Murphy and I were talking about yesterday, because he was with Cassie Riley Bosch's parents, and she was a player on that team, and she wrote a book. And that book that she wrote, which I have read, because she did some games with me on TV for a while, but that book that she wrote is the basis for this show, because she actually, she documented the season and did it from a player's perspective, and the book has finished it, a team's journey to winning it all. And that's what this series or this show is going to be based on. So it's going to be a big weekend for Alabama softball, Corey. I'm with you. I think Alabama wins this series. And I don't think they get a sweep, but I think they get 2 out of 3.
I don't remember much about Oklahoma, that 2012 team, but going into the World Series that year, did you think Alabama could have won the whole thing?
Yeah, I did. I did. Because what I remember was at that point, you got to remember that's 12 years ago. So softball was not at the point that it is now. There were not as many good teams. There still were not as many. It had grown a ton from, say, 2002 to 2012 or 2000 to 2012, but it still wasn't where it's at now. There weren't as many teams that were as strong as there are now. And Alabama at that point was one of the top teams in the country every year. And they had been in the World Series, I want to say 7 or 8 times, and had never won it. And so I think that everyone felt like, Alabama's got to win one of these. I mean, they're now the thrill of going to the College World Series, Corey, for that team, because this is when I was calling a lot of games on television. So I covered those teams closely. The thrill of going to the College World Series was kind of gone. And what I mean by that, that was the goal, but it wasn't like, oh, man, we win the World Series. No, they wanted to win it all. They wanted to win it all. And I thought that team with Trina, I thought they could win it. And, I got to admit, in that game, that rain delay, it really kind of Alabama came out of that thing just energized. And but no, I thought that team could win it all. I guess for me, and of course now we talk about it, it's the sport's grown so much, and it's so much. It was hard to win one then. It's really hard to win one now. But I really thought when Alabama won it that night in Oklahoma City that we wouldn't be talking 12 years later and they would still just have one national championship. I thought that they were going to win some more, and hopefully they will. But I thought that once they kind of broke the door down, I thought they would win. I thought they'd win another one or two, and they haven't been able to do it.
The one that really sticks in my craw is 2014, where we lost to Florida, because, yes, that Florida team was really good, but that Alabama team was really good too, and I thought Alabama had a really good chance to have another championship, and Florida swept us that championship, but Florida was a machine that year, and they won again the following year in 15, but Alabama had another chance to win another championship, and they really haven't even come close to winning another one since. I mean, another one that really gets me, now I don't think Alabama would have won the championship, was when we played Florida State and got eliminated twice in OKC. And that was the year Oklahoma was set the record for runs, home runs, and all that. But just to not even get a chance to play for one is what the thing that will always amaze me. Montana Fouts never played for a national championship. I never understand a World Series championship. I will never understand that one bit. I know a lot of that's Oklahoma because how good they are, but Alabama never sent Montana Fouts to a national championship series. Is, quite frankly, just in my opinion, unacceptable. As good as she is, the team never got her to a national championship.
Yeah, but
series.
I hear you. At the same time, Oklahoma has been dominant. It's been an Oklahoma steamroll for about the last 5 or 6 years, and she did get to the College World Series. She did throw a no-hitter. So, I mean, obviously her career was incredible. Yeah, but, when you have a dynasty like Oklahoma is right now, there's a lot of teams that, if you take Oklahoma out of the picture, might have won a national championship. So Alabama's not the only team in softball that looks back over the last 7, 8, 10 years and says, man, we should have won one, or we, could have won one. So there are others. It's hard, but looking back on 2012, I was not surprised that team won it. I knew the focus that team had. I knew they were on a mission, and they were, and they closed it out. But as I said, on that night in Oklahoma City, I would have told you that Alabama probably would have won another national title or two going forward. And listen, it's not over. They're still a really good program. Made it to the College World Series last year. If we sit here this morning and talk, do I think this is a national championship caliber team? I don't. But when you play in the SEC, you're playing against the finest competition in the country. So, you never know. I didn't think this Alabama basketball team was a Final Four caliber team, and they made it. So, we'll see what happens going forward. But this is a huge series this weekend. Going to be big crowds, going to be great weather. And I think Alabama's got a chance to, if they win this series, get over 500 in the conference and really have things back on track.
So going into that Oklahoma series before it started, when it was announced, you thought Alabama could win it?
Yes, I did. I'm not saying that but here's the thing that's got to remember at the time, Corey, was Alabama and Oklahoma's programs at that time were kind of parallel. I think Oklahoma had maybe one national championship to that point. And I remember Alabama winning that night, and you're thinking, well, Alabama has a chance to be that team. The Oklahoma of 2012 was good. Don't get me wrong. But they were not the Oklahoma of 2024 or 2023 or 2022. They weren't at that level at that time. They were really good, and they were the favorite playing there. But it was not like you look at them then the way you look at them now. So, yes, I thought Alabama could win that series.
Here's the crazy thing. Alabama has an 8-6 overall record against them. Not many teams have an overall record better than over Oklahoma.
That's right. And of course, beat them here in a super regional. Who was the girl that hit the walk-off home run? And I don't know.
Marissa Runyon.
Yep, good Runyon. Yeah. So that year, I thought Alabama had a really, really good chance to win it, and they did. And like Cassie Riley Boscia wrote, they finished it, and now they're going to be featured on SEC Network on Monday night. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But I think Alabama takes this series, and I think they take the momentum from the sweep over Ole Miss and find a way to get 2 out of 3, and really could get this season jump started if they can win this series this weekend.
I think getting to 500 in the SEC, you mentioned this one point, is kind of like a reset button. I mean, don't get me wrong, the rest of the SEC is going to be tough too with Tennessee, Arkansas, Auburn, and A&M, but you get a chance to hit the reset button and go from here, and however it finishes is how it finishes. But get a chance to take a deep breath. You're at home, get a chance to reset, and just to really try to stay healthy. I know Marley Giles is in a cast, but try to reset, get healthy, and try to finish strong, because you want to try to get a top 4 in the SEC when you play the tournament in Auburn, and then try to. I know we're in a great position to get a top 16 seed, but try to get a top 8 seed so you can get to host a super regional, because we know what happened with last year with Northwestern, because how impactful the crowd was to getting a win in super regionals.
Yeah. Yep, no doubt about it, man. So anyway, you got your pulse on it as well as just about anybody that follows it. And so I officially picked the sweep, predicted the sweep last week. I'm officially predicting 2 out of 3 against A&M over the Saturday, Sunday, Monday weekend. What's your prediction?
I'm going to take 2 out of 3 as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to Monday.
Oh, I think it probably will. I think they'll probably split these first 2 games. I'm with you. I think it'll probably come down to Monday night.
Although I would like to see Brisky pick up another SEC win, because it would help her confidence too.
Oh, no doubt. So, well, heck, man, maybe Alabama will go out there and sweep them. You never know. So, all right, Corey, thanks for the call, buddy. Have a great weekend.
You too, Gary. Roll Tide.
All right, it's 9:21. We're going to take our first break. Coming up at 9:30, Rob Brown, SEC Sidelines Live. Going to talk SEC football and basketball. Of course, that great weekend music going to get you cranked. It's Friday. It's beautiful. We're headed into a huge sports weekend. Tuscaloosa is going to be the place to be in the state of Alabama this weekend with A-Day, softball, and baseball all at home. We got you covered right here on the Gary Harris Show, and we're coming right back after this.
This season of Alabama football on Tide 100.9, brought to you by Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Just a few minutes away, where you can be a winner, too.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports and is brought to you by Guthrie's. America's original chicken finger restaurant is now an official partner of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For franchise information, visit Guthrie'sChicken.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. As we get set for Saturday's Golden Flake A-Day game, here are some thoughts from Crimson Tide wide receiver Kobe Prentice.
I would be glad if the stadium was packed out, but because, when Saban came in for their A-Day, it was packed. Yeah. As Saban, he'd already had a good reputation, but, he wasn't considered the GOAT just yet. But so I feel like it's going to be packed, just with new staff and just a whole new Alabama team. I think people are eager to see that. So I expect it to be rocking.
We can't wait for it. What's going to be most important for you once spring football comes to a close, you get into the summer, and you start getting ready for fall camp? Yeah.
What would be most important is just development and, like I said, keeping my faith. Just taking each day one day at a time and doing the things I need to do in order to keep me successful. Those things I think are going to play a key part, and just being consistent and staying on doing the things I need to do.
I'll have more in a moment.
Guthrie's was America's first chicken finger restaurant, and now Guthrie's Golden Fried Chicken Fingers is your Bama tailgate headquarters. Come by and get the best chicken fingers in the game. Make Guthrie's and their famous signature dipping sauce your one stop for all your tailgate parties this season. Call ahead, place your orders for game day. Guthrie's, America's original chicken finger restaurant, and now an official partner of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For franchise information, visit Guthrie'sChicken.com.
We've got you covered for the 2024 Golden Flake A-Day game at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Kickoff is scheduled.
Not sure I'm pulling them off. 24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A beautiful spring day today with a sunny sky, the high 70. Clear tonight, the low 45. With the weekend, a warming trend. Lots of sunshine tomorrow and Sunday. The high tomorrow 79. The high Sunday afternoon at 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 59 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You see him on WVUA 23 covering sports and on Tider Insider TV on Tuesday nights. Don't miss a minute of the Gary Harris Show. Weekdays from 9 to 11 on Tide 100.9.
It's finally Friday, I'm free again. I got my motor running for a wild weekend. It's finally Friday, I'm out of control. Forget the working blues and let the good time roll.
It's finally Friday. George Jones can crank it out, that is for sure. All right, I mentioned earlier in the show, Tybo Rogers, former player at Washington for Kalen DeBoer, running back, involved in legal situations, arrested and charged with 2 counts of rape. And Coach DeBoer said that he could not speak on it, but he did issue a statement yesterday afternoon. It read, "While I am not able to comment specifically on the situation involving an individual at my former institution because of federal privacy laws and the ongoing criminal matters, I do want to make it clear that I take any allegation of sexual misconduct very seriously. I always have and always will follow established institutional policies and procedures to ensure prompt reporting and proper handling of allegations by the appropriate authorities." Rogers was suspended 1 game for Washington after a Title IX complaint was filed on November 29th. That turned out to be the Pac-12 championship game, but he played in both of the Huskies' college football playoff matchups against Texas and Michigan. Last season, he had 40 carries for 184 yards, so he was strictly a backup. But that is a ongoing situation, and since Kalen DeBoer was the head football coach at Washington with Tybo Rogers, it's a story that has interest, obviously, here in Tuscaloosa. All right, 9:28. We want to get back on time and come back with our first guest. I do want to mention to you, I already said I ran into Patrick Murphy and the parents of Cassie Riley Bosho last night at Who's Q and Brew. A lot of people were there last night. You know why? Justin, how about this? Thursday nights, they've got $5 burgers and $1 off draft beers from 4 p.m. to close. So there were a lot of people in there getting those burgers last night. Yeah, great barbecue, but those burgers for $5, you can't beat them. We're talking the big. Do you like them? Do you like them pink or no pink? That's what they ask you. You know, do you want them with a little pink in the burger, or do you want them just all the way brown all the way through? I got mine with a little bit of pink. Added some cheese and some lettuce and some onions and some pickles and some mustard and some ketchup. It was good, very good. And check out Who's Q and Brew in Tuscaloosa at 1825 McFarland Boulevard in the Northridge Center. All right, we're going to come back with Rob Brown, host of SEC Sidelines Live, and we'll do that next right here on the Gary Harris Show.
Life doesn't wait for when your finances are in perfect order. It just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages.
Marlin Boulevard West, Krispy Kreme is open 7 days a week. To see our complete donut, coffee, and espresso menu, visit our website at KrispyKremeTuscaloosa.com. Krispy Kreme, hot now and anytime.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 special. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Get a meat and 3 vegetables for just $8.49. Or for a lighter appetite, try the Lucky Lunch soup, salad, or sandwich combo. I'll see you at the Free. Los Tarascos has been serving Mexican favorites like burritos, fajitas, and quesadillas since 1999. Their new location is at 4100 Owen Parkway in Northport. And of course, you can find Los Tarascos in Tuscaloosa at 110 Skyland Boulevard. The bar areas feature big screen television so you can enjoy your favorite sporting events. Los Tarascos features daily happy hour specials. And for the best Mexican cuisine in West Alabama, remember, the name is Los Tarascos with locations in Tuscaloosa and Northport.
Roll Tide, the best sports talk, period. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
I feel the temperature rising.
It's burning through to my soul. We're going to Memphis. Justin, we gotta crank out the king, man. Nothing like him. One of a kind, true original. Elvis. Burning Love. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. We're going to jump out on the First and Main Condominiums Hotline and welcome in Rob Brown, who is the host of SEC Sideline Sports Network, and he's based out of Memphis, Tennessee. So we like to get great weekend music on our TGIF edition, and I figured we'd have to crank out some Elvis for you, man.
Hey, that was awesome. I loved hearing that just now, and I just you never. Anytime Elvis is on, it puts you in a good mood because when we grew up here with him, you know, the sightings of Elvis were legendary. But with social media like it is today, I bet they would have been pretty common.
Yeah, and this is your first appearance on my show, so I figured we had to bring you in style. When I've been on your show, I've never talked to you about this, but you know one of my best friends, you don't know him and he doesn't know you, but y'all would hit it off, is Brett Brewer, Billy Brewer's son, who lives there in Memphis. Yeah, talk to him all the time like I talk to you. I actually worked with him. He was, for a short time, a sportscaster himself before he got smart and decided to make some money. But yeah, you two would hit it off for sure. All right, Rob, I want to jump in. You know, your show is SEC Sideline Sports Network, so you cover the SEC and do a great job. Kentucky, you know, you and I have made this parallel. Kentucky football or Kentucky basketball and Alabama football are to me the same in a lot of ways. And the head coaching job is a great job, but it can be a tough job. And now after 15 years with Cal, we'll get to that in a moment, his decision to pull out and go to Fayetteville. But settling, and I'm going to use the term settling on Mark Pope. Doesn't mean he's not going to be a good coach. He won a national championship there under Pitino. I think he's been marvelous at Brigham Young, but he wasn't their first choice. They had to go on down the list, and Mitch Barnhart decided on Mark Pope. It looks like that's going to happen here soon. Your thoughts on this hire for Kentucky basketball?
Well, one thing, and we just got through having our Friday roundtable on SEC Sideline Sports Network about the fan bases. And, Dave Tompkins was on. He's a Mountain Brook native, lifelong Alabama fan. And, people say the Kentucky fan base is entitled. And they haven't won a national championship since 2012. But, 25 years since UConn has won 6. Duke and UNC have won 3. Kansas 2. Kentucky 1. Florida's won 2 in that time frame as well. But Alabama's fan base, on the other hand, you can't say they look what they do. They just consistently, under Nick Saban, pounding out these championships. And before that, they went through that drought, though, 82 to 09. They won 1 in between there. But I think Kentucky's problem is coaches looking at that fan base. I don't know how hard they're looking at it, but the Kentucky fans, John Calipari was like someone in a bad marriage. He stayed 5 years too long, and they did it just kind of, let's do it for the kids. Well, he stayed at Kentucky 5 years too long, and he even admitted after the loss to Oakland that maybe the model that I'm using doesn't work. The one and done, the 5 stars. Maybe I need to change some things. And when he said that, I was like, well, he's probably leaving. My gut told me that because Kentucky, you're going to get these great high school players, and you can get them at Arkansas. Nate Oates is getting them at Alabama. But Kentucky, what coach wants to go there and give up what he's got where his fan base, Scott Drew at Baylor, Nate Oates at Alabama, Bruce Pearl at Auburn, those fan bases, they've got them right where they want them. You go to Kentucky, and they're going to expect you immediately to pull out of the driveway because you live in the median in the middle of I-65. You better be doing 110 when you pull out of your driveway. Nate Oates had a little bit of time to build, but now, Nate Oates, the bar has been raised, but God bless. Alabama can pay everything. Listen, don't tell me Kentucky has more money than Alabama. They do. They don't. Alabama can afford to pay for anything they want. And I think Kentucky is proof that the blue bloods in college basketball are not like they are in football. They just aren't. The money is not going to come to support it like it does in football. That's why Kentucky, I hate to use that term, settle. This guy from Brigham Young was pretty good, but it wasn't their first choice. But how many times do you get your first choice? It's pretty rare.
Yeah, and it's official now. Mark Pope has been named the head coach of the Kentucky men's basketball team on Cal. Before we move on, dynamic, charismatic. When he got to Kentucky, you just thought, wow, this is going to be magic, and it was for those first few years, and. Won that national championship in 2012, had the team, I guess it was 2015, that was undefeated going to the Final Four. The nearly 50 first-round draft picks, the talent level was incredible. I guess when you look at his career and then the last few years, just bombing in the NCAA tournament, it is hard to imagine that he only won one national championship with the caliber of players that came through there. When you turn on an NBA game on ESPN or TNT, you see Kentucky players, and they're some of the best in the NBA. A lot like Saban has done with players in the NFL. Difference is Saban's got the rings. How did the guy only manage to win one national championship, Rob?
Well, look at Calipari's record. And Kevin Stravinsky gave us these stats on the show, and love having him on Mondays. Great basketball writer there in Birmingham. In Cal's first 6 years at Kentucky, he went to 5 NCAA tournaments and 1 NIT. He were 22-4. 4 Final Fours and 1 national championship. Since then, the last 7 NCAA tournament appearances, Kentucky is 10-7, and they've gone out the first weekend 4 of the last 5 years. I think that it corresponds, those stats, directly with the portal, which became the law of the land October 15th of 2018, and his refusal to adapt and change and improvise and overcome, which he didn't do. So he's getting these high school kids that are phenomenal, 5-star, 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids, but they're going up against, because of the virus, a bunch of 23, 24, some case 25-year-olds. Miami this year has this guy, Mike McCormick, who will be in his 9th year of college football. Hell, D-Day, Daniel Simpson Day, Tommy Boy was only in college for 7 years. So, that's kind of where we are. And I think you and I both know it. You are the heart and soul. And by the way, Kevin pointed out Wes Moore and Dudley Dawson from Hogsville.net. They all cover Arkansas for us. Local people, Little Rock, Wes Moore wrote that story, and it wasn't some national reporter. The heart and soul of the media is the beat writers, the reporters, like what you do, what Rodney does, the Tider Insider. Love having y'all on the show. And I just think that Kentucky's model, that thing he was doing, is dead. I see Calipari. I was in Little Rock Tuesday and Wednesday for meetings with a bunch of Arkansas people. Look, he's going to change who he is. John Calipari is. He's going to have all the money in the world with John Tyson, with J.B. Hunt, with the Waltons, and the Stevens and Little Rock. They'll go get players. They will. But I think Calipari, I used to see him in Memphis a lot in our building. Jimmy Sexton's agent, he was on the 5th floor. I was on the 6th floor for 9 years. And you'd see Cal out there a lot. That was his agent. I mean, you talk about charismatic. Yes. And I think he does not want his legacy. He's only 65, I think. He's like a 30-year-old. His legacy, he's going to work harder, I think, than he's ever worked in his life to go out on a winning note. And maybe in, 6-7 years, he says, hey, man, I'm going to go be on TV and be a commentator. But I think Arkansas it's a great fit for him. I know that state well, and they got a lot of basketball tradition, and they got an incredible fan base. And Calipari needed a change of venue, and I think Fayetteville's the right place. And the SEC just, we didn't lose anybody. We just got a rejuvenated coach.
Yeah, he wants to be loved. He wants to be embraced, and he will be. And Kentucky fans were, just about done with him anyway. And had he come back this year, which he could have done, and not had success in the tournament, he was probably going to be out after next year anyway. So it's a win-win. Kentucky doesn't have to pay him that $30+ million buyout. He gets a sweet deal with NIL. It is interesting to me that the two different factions in Arkansas, the Northwest Arkansas group led by John Tyson and the Little Rock group, were on separate pages. Little Rock group wanted Chris Beard, and then after that, offered it to Jerome Tang, and then at that point, Northwest Arkansas Fayetteville group stepped in and said, we're taking this over now. So it could have gone in a different direction. Rob, you follow this closely. Would Chris Beard have been the head coach at Arkansas had he not asked for that out clause for the Kentucky job?
Well, I think Chris Beard, and Wes Moore pointed this out a lot. He's ESPN 103.7 The Buzz in Little Rock, and he said that Chris Beard felt loyalty to Ole Miss for believing in him and giving him that chance after what happened at Texas, and he felt he should stay there. But, Wes knows Chris Beard. People in Little Rock, and we stayed down on the river. These are major donors to Arkansas we were with. Towering over everything in Little Rock, even bigger than the Clinton Presidential Library on the river, is Stevens. Stevens Investment Company is the largest off-Wall Street investment bank in America.
Wow.
And I think Warren Stevens is worth well over $7 billion himself. There is a ton of money in Arkansas. And you've got the state's divided up like Tennessee. Tennessee is east, middle, and west, and I don't think any of us really like each other. But Arkansas, you've got the Delta, you got the mountains, the Ozarks. But what you really got are the Little Rock, and you got the Northwest corner. and the man I was meeting with, he's from Fayetteville, lives in Little Rock, and, big supporters of Arkansas. He always tells people, I'm from Fayetteville, but I live in Little Rock. There's a huge rivalry. And had it not been for Chris Beard feeling, hey, man, Ole Miss believed in me when other people probably wouldn't have given me a chance, that's why he stayed. Otherwise, I do think Chris Beard would have gone back there immediately. I really do. That's just my gut feeling.
Wow, interesting. All right, let's stay with basketball for a moment. And for Nate Oates, I don't know if he would have gotten an offer, but he was certainly a person of interest for Kentucky. He nipped it in the bud coming off the Final Four run. Now, it's one thing to make a Final Four, and Alabama waited a long time to do it. We know that. Yeah. But it's another thing to be able to make a Final Four run and then to get back to get back and win a national championship. I get the sense with Nate Oates in Alabama. They've never been to one, but I think it's going to be sooner rather than later, Rob. I really do. I just think he's that kind of coach. I think he's got the pulse of how the modern game is played, and the NIL and the portal and all those things that it takes to be consistently good, because your roster is going to look different every year. I get the sense that Nate Oates is going to build something here, and it's not going to be a one and done. Your reaction?
I totally agree with you, because you look in the last 7 years, the two in-state schools, Auburn and Alabama, have won 4 outright titles, 2 apiece, and 4 SEC tournament championships, 2 apiece. Okay? So Nate Oates was at Romulus High School up in Detroit, has that connection with Dan Hurley and Bobby Hurley. Nate Oates is a phenomenal recruiter. And if you look and you put in perspective, think about this. He had all 3 assistant coaches left last year. I think they got head coaching jobs. But then he lost all these players. Yvonne Quinterly went to Memphis. You've talked about all these different players. We know them that have left. And he rebuilds this team and does it again. He goes and gets Mark Sears, who's from Muscle Shoals, who was in a school up in Ohio. He brings in Nelson from South Dakota, puts all these guys together and has them all, playing unselfishly. I mean, they love being on a team. That's the great thing about a high school coach is they're so used to having to rebuild their team every year. I think that better prepared Nate Oates for having to deal with the portal and NIL. I had a guy tell me, who's a big donor to Arkansas, when I was in Little Rock this week. He said, Rob, the way I see it, the NIL is the match and the portal is the gasoline. And I said, yeah, that's a good way to look at it. If you know how to manage it, and Alabama, I mean, they've had a lot of success, but getting to the Final Four, that's tough. And as much as we hear about Kentucky's greatness, they've won since 1998, 1 national championship. Kentucky was dominant in basketball for a long time. Back in 2014, when Mike Slive said, hey, everybody, you've got to ramp up your commitment to basketball because we got an SEC network deal, and they're going to expect us to put a great product on the court. And in the time period, I think since Kentucky last won a national championship, you've had, 4 or 5 different SEC schools make the Final Four. So Alabama, listen, when Alabama commits to being good in something, they got a fan base that'll put their money behind it. And it's been that way ever since that train got back from Pasadena in 1926. They ain't stopped, and they're not going to. Now they got a taste of this Final Four. Here we are, April the 12th, in the footprint of the SEC, and we're still talking about basketball, and Alabama's spring game is tomorrow. That's how big this deal is, and it's just going to get better.
Rob Brown with us from the SEC Sideline Sports Network. Rylan Griffin, reportedly going into the portal. I guess that's kind of where we're at in the modern-day game of college basketball. Yeah. This is a guy that had 2 really good years at Alabama, went to a Final Four in a system that seems to fit his game perfectly. But, I don't know if it's because Alabama's bringing in 2 McDonald's All-Americans, and maybe they're getting more NIL than he's getting, or maybe Alabama's trying to put its NIL money to getting Mark Sears back. You don't know what the reasons are, but it speaks to where we're at. I mean, this is a guy who was a key cog in a Final Four team. And as I said, the way he plays, you couldn't find a better system to play in than what Nate Oates offers, and yet he's leaving, Rob.
Yeah, that's just where we are. That's exactly where we are. You've got the kids nowadays, the commitment part of it's not there. That's the fans. The fans love their schools. You pick the school, fill in the blank. They always have felt like that the players and the coaches loved their school as much as they did. Now, some of that's being taken away, and I hope it's temporary. I really believe that. But you're right. It doesn't make any sense. And we all know the players, and you've covered them throughout your career, that hung around. They just kept fighting and working, and eventually their third or fourth year, it just happened. But they remember that for the rest of their lives. Their legacy is that. Because their legacy certainly wasn't that they quit, because no one would have ever heard of them or talked about them. And I'm with you. It is where we are. You got 13 scholarships for basketball. You're lucky if you got 9 or 10 guys that really, if you can go 9 or 10 deep, you're in really good shape. But I don't know. All you got to do is look at what Nate Oates does every year. He'll go out in the portal, and I think Alabama has 2 McDonald's All-Americans coming in next year already. Okay, so you think some guys in the portal aren't going to go, man, I want to go play with Nate. Look, Nate Oates he got a lot of criticism last year after that horrible tragedy happened. But you know what? My God, all of a sudden he's up there. The University Legal Counsel should have handled that. But get off this guy's butt. This guy's a hell of a coach. He's super competitive, and I know some people that know him off the court about stuff, and they love the guy. And that's he lost all 3 assistants, and he got his team to the Final Four. I mean, what part of this guy's a great coach do people not get?
Well, he's outstanding, and he looks like he's staying long term. You mentioned it is A-Day for tomorrow for Alabama football, and it's going to be a different game, offense versus defense. Yesterday, Rob, I had a chance to sit down and interview Kalen DeBoer for the first time one-on-one, and I got to tell you, I mean, what an engaging, humble. I'll tell you this. We'll see what happens as a football coach. I think he's a really good football coach, but this is Alabama, and we'll see, what he does. But I can tell you this. As a person, I can't. He is as down-to-earth a football coach at this level that I've met in a long, long time. And, man, was just so impressed. He did 5 local interviews with all the Birmingham TV stations. We all got 15 minutes. He did them back to back to back to back to back. And you know how busy he is this time of the year.
Yeah.
And again, I'll never take away from anything Nick Saban did. He did a lot for the people in this state and people in this community. But as just a person that's willing to reach out to the local media like that never happened with Nick Saban. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a thrill. And you and I talk a lot about local media. And I got to tell you, this guy gets it. This guy is, I do one interview and cover it all on ESPN, or I can do 5 or 6 or 10 local interviews. Well, he thinks it's worth doing 5 or 6 or 10 local interviews, and that's a breath of fresh air, man.
It is, because your local, that's what SEC Sideline Sports Network is all about. Is you can fly from New York to Seattle and 40,000 feet above, and you're going to miss everything in between. Well, when ESPN does a few minutes here and there about all 14, soon to be 16 schools in the conference, they're just barely scratching the surface. If you want to get the story, you go to the local shows. And I've got your app. I've had it on. I first started listening to Tide 100.9 back during the pandemic. I mean, we were locked up, couldn't go in our office, but we still, I started listening to these shows, and I started listening to Wimp Sanderson and Barry, and then I found your show. And the local, you just get so much more detail. It's like, I don't go to a football game without my headsets on. I want to hear the radio crew, the details, the stories about these players and all. And Kalen DeBoer, I think he's from South Dakota. I've spent a lot of time hunting up there for years. those are great people up there. And by the way, you wouldn't believe the number of times we've been sitting out there eating lunch or having a cold beer in the afternoon in South Dakota pheasant hunting. Those people know everything about the SEC. And this started back in the late 90s. I said, how do you know about us? They said, well, we watch the games. We don't have great football up here.
So we
grew up watching it.
All right, Rob, listen, I'm up against the clock, man, but thank you for coming on. Usually it's the other way around, but I wanted to get you on. And, folks, Rob has a great show that comes on in the mornings, weekdays, and it's you can find him on Twitter or X or Twix or whatever you want to refer to it, at Rob Brown _ Right, yeah, that's what I've started calling it, at Rob Brown _ Brown with an E. And 15 seconds. What time can they catch your show every morning?
8 a.m. Central, and we look forward to having you on next Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Central. We love having you on. Thanks. It's been an honor. I love it.
Thanks, Rob. All right, we're going to come back and wrap up this first hour of the Gary Harris Show right after this. Since 2011, Billy's Sports Grill, located on Main Avenue in historic downtown Northport, has been serving their legendary signature chicken sandwich, award-winning wings, and handcrafted cocktails. Billy's is also the spot to watch all your favorite sporting events with big screen, high-definition televisions, both dining rooms, at the bar, and outside on the beautiful patio. Come by and say hello to Kim and Lisa, the Billy's Management Dream Team. Billy's, good food, good friends, and good times.
Tuscaloosa's Old Colony Golf Course is an 18-hole championship layout designed by 1976 U.S. Open champion Jerry Pate. Director of Golf John Gray and fitting specialist Bob Montgomery are PGA certified. Mike Shivitz is the head professional and director of the Tuscaloosa Junior Golf Program. Call today to secure a tee time at the Tuscaloosa Championship Golf Course. Everyone can play. 205-562-3201. Old Colony is operated by Para.
If you haven't already, you've got to try Tuscaloosa's unique breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept. Brick and Spoon, downtown Tuscaloosa at Timerson Square. It's fresh food with a Cajun flair featuring a full bar with build-your-own Bloody Marys and mimosas. Open daily, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Available for after-hours events, rehearsal dinners, receptions, and birthdays. They offer brunch and lunch catering. Call Brick and Spoon at 205-345-5551 for more information.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A beautiful spring day today with a sunny sky, the high 70. Clear tonight, the low 45. For the weekend, a warming trend. Lots of sunshine tomorrow and Sunday. The high tomorrow 79. The high Sunday afternoon at 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 61 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to The Gary Harris Show. For Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
The first hour getaway song on a Friday is always The Cure's Friday I'm in Love. One of my all-time favorites for the weekend, man. Just gets you so upbeat, so up-tempo. That's going to wrap it up for the first hour. This hour has been brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. Of course, we appreciate First and Main Condominiums bringing you the first hour hotline, firstandmaincondos.com. 30 luxury units in beautiful, historic downtown Northport, right across the Black Warrior River from Tuscaloosa. That's First and Main Condos, firstandmaincondos.com. All right, we're coming back with a second hour, and we're going to get it started with phone calls if you want to give us a ring. And we'll have our Krispy Kreme Donuts hotline giveaway in the second hour. Krispy Kreme Donuts for a year, plus a Krispy Kreme 100% heavy cotton T-shirt is what I'm trying to say. And also the Auburn Report with Brett Pritchard. So all that and more coming up at 10:30, and the second hour will get underway in just a couple of minutes. The Gary Harris Show continues on a Friday morning here on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC.
What about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Life doesn't wait for when your finances are in perfect order. It just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages.
Enter.ua.edu/RiseGolf24 to register your foursome for a great day together, playing golf, mingling with Alabama celebrity athletes, and helping the children at Rise.
As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 special, Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Get a meat and 3 vegetables for just $8.49. Or for a lighter appetite, try the Lucky Lunch soup, salad, or sandwich combo. I'll see you at the Free.
It's the Tide 100.9 30K Workday Payday. Woo! Win cash every weekday 8 to 5. Here's this hour's cash code.
375. Again, that's 375. The code is 375.
Enter that code now on the Tide 100.9 app. Click on the 30K Payday button and enter the code for a chance to win $30,000.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Dan Beyer.
The second round of the Masters is underway, and Tiger Woods has just started his second round. Completed his first round today after a round of 1 over par 73. He parred his first hole of the day and is currently 8 shots back of the lead. The lead is held by Bryson DeChambeau, who will tee off at 11:54 Eastern time this morning. Scotty Scheffler not teeing off until about 2 o'clock Eastern time this afternoon. He's 1 shot back at 6 under par. Max Homa, 5 under par 67 today, playing with Tiger Woods. He's in a group currently on the course at 5 under par. Nikolai Højgaard also at 5 under. Højgaard threw 4 holes on his second round. Couple of other notables to mention. It was a rough day for Jordan Spieth this morning. Took a 9 on the par 5 15th. He is at +7 and 14 back of the lead. Dustin Johnson at 6 over after a round of 78. Kentucky officially named Mark Pope as the school's new men's basketball coach, taking over for John Calipari.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
$1.3 million of $6 million in grants to agencies that will help low-income residents decrease their energy costs by weatherizing their homes will go to agencies here in West Alabama. The priority is given to people with disabilities, elderly, and low-income households with children. The Alabama House of Representatives passed a bill that would make Juneteenth, a day that commemorates the end of slavery, a state holiday. State offices would not be closed. Employees would choose between Juneteenth and Jefferson Davis's birthday as a holiday. And A-Day kicks at 3 tomorrow afternoon on campus.
Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters. The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, here we go. Hour number 2 of the TGIF edition of the Gary Harris Show. Gary Harris, Justin Jones with you. And we're going to have my Kalen DeBoer interview that I did yesterday for WVUA 23 coming up in the second segment. Sat down with the Alabama football coach for close to 15 minutes, man. Really enjoyed conversing with him. We'll have that for you. Also, the Auburn Report with Brett Pritchard at 10:30. Our Krispy Kreme Donuts for a year and T-shirt giveaway coming up. We're going to do that in this hour, and we're going to take more of your phone calls on the Krispy Kreme Donuts hotline, and that's where we're going to start off hour number 2 with Philip this morning. Hey, good morning, Philip.
Good morning, Gary. Hope you're doing good, sir.
Absolutely.
Hey, Coach DeBoer seems like a pretty cool guy from what I can see on X and all that on the social media, and it seems like you feel the same way.
Yeah, very impressed with him. Again, I understand how this works, and you do too. Being a nice guy is not going to mean a thing if you don't, you don't win some games. But he's a good football coach. He's got a good track record. And as far as just someone who is, to me, at his level, to come across as humble and engaging as he is and as genuine, I'm highly impressed. And again, I want to be clear for the record. I mean, you know, what Nick Saban did here, I don't think we'll ever see the likes of that again in college football. I really don't. And what Nick Saban and Terry Saban did for this community and for this state with their fundraising efforts and Nick's kids, phenomenal amount of work that they've done in this community and in this state. And it's unbelievable. But it's just far as a one-on-one type of situation, Kalen DeBoer is very easy to talk to. He's very pleasant to be around. And I think Nick Saban's got a different personality type. And, you know, and it's fun to be able to go back into the football building and sit down with the Alabama head football coach and have a conversation. That's not something that was a regular part of covering Alabama football under Nick Saban for the local media. Again, I'm not being critical. I'm just saying that's the way it was. I mean, you didn't get those opportunities. And now we're getting those opportunities again. And it's fun. And, yeah, I'm very impressed with him as a person and the way that he takes time for local reporters and the way that he is running this program with a little more transparency and letting people touch it and feel it a little bit. And, again, what Nick Saban did, the way he did it, it worked. And it worked for him. The one voice strategy of running a football program, that's who he is. But what we're seeing now is Kalen DeBoer is being who he is. And that's why I like this transition. If you bring somebody in, Philip, you've heard me say this. If you bring somebody in trying to do run Nick Saban's system and run the program the way he did, I think they're going to be a failure because Nick Saban ran it the way he ran it. But trying to copy him or feel like you got to do it that way, I don't think it would work. I think to have somebody who is comfortable in his own skin and is going to do it his way is a perfect transition from Nick Saban. I think Kalen DeBoer is a great hire by Greg Byrne. Even before he's coached a game, I think he's going to do tremendous.
I do too. And I'll tell you, a guy, I'll get off because it's the day before A-Day and you got a lot of calls coming in. But I'll tell you a play I'm really looking forward to watching tomorrow. And that's Red Morgan, the defensive back out of Phoenix City. I think that guy is going to be a player and an early player for Alabama.
Heard a lot of good things about him. You know, big hitter. You know, guy that brings it. And yeah, an intense football player. Yeah, I've heard positive things about him too. So you're looking forward. You know, tomorrow's going to be interesting too because it's the first time that I can remember Alabama having an A-Day set up this way where you have it's offense versus defense. And it's going to be interesting to watch it. It's going to be interesting to see how big the crowd is. I think this place is going to be buzzing tomorrow. The weather's absolutely fantastic and fabulous. And I'm looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
I am too, Gary. Good luck to you and have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Monday, man.
Thank you, Philip. Great phone call as always. It's 10:07 here on the Gary Harris Show. If you want to give us a ring on the Krispy Kreme Donuts hotline, 205-342-9904 is the number, 205-342-9904. As I said, in the next segment, we're going to play my interview yesterday with Kalen DeBoer. And also, next segment, we'll do the Krispy Kreme Donuts giveaway. Again, we're not doing trivia per se because it's just Justin and I, and it's too hard to run a contest. But what we've done on the Krispy Kreme Donuts is I've taken a topic. I think the last couple of weeks it's been Alabama basketball. I think today I'll go back to football since we have A-Day tomorrow. And I have come up with something interesting, a tidbit, and whatever the answer is, that's the caller that we've taken. And so we gave away 2 of the Donuts for a Year cards so far and 2 T-shirts, and we'll do another one here in the next segment. Justin, let me bring you in. I want to get your thoughts on Rylan Griffin because nothing surprises me anymore. So let me say that. It's not like but it caught me off guard. When last night, I guess around 10:30, I had just gotten done with the sports, and somebody shot me a text and had the CF, the college basketball, high school college basketball site or whatever it was that broke it first. They sent me that tweet that he was going into the portal, and I wasn't surprised, but I was caught off guard. That's where we're at. You're talking about a guy who has flourished in this system in 2 years as a player under Nate Oates, has been to a Final Four, has been part of an SEC tournament and SEC regular season championship, a number 1 overall seed, and next year was going to be one of the more prominent players on the team, and he's leaving. And it just doesn't, from the outside looking in, it doesn't make sense. But then you understand, I don't know where the NIL money, how it's configured. You've got Reed and Sherelle coming in, 2 McDonald's All-Americans. You're going to go into the portal. You may be trying to come up with NIL money to keep Mark Sears or Grant Nelson, or we don't know. And maybe, and I'm speculating, obviously, Justin, but you might be in a situation where Rylan Griffin just said, hey, what about me? And maybe he doesn't feel like he's getting his due. I don't know what went into it, but it's disappointing, I think, because not only is he a good player on the offensive end, he's probably one of their better defenders.
Definitely. Like you said, one of our better defenders, one of our best shooters, him, Reitzel, and Mark, where, I mean, the backcourt, they were the heart and soul of this team offensively and defensively, like you said. Plus, Gary, Final Four, he's looking to make a good impact next year as a starter on this team. But he was also getting his due, I think, in the media and social. He was getting all of those clips on the WWE talk that he was doing in the locker room after and before the games. I was shocked, just like you, and really I'm angry, even though I shouldn't have been shocked or surprised with how college athletics is right now, with how the NIL. Since when did you have to worry about one of your best players leaving in the offseason when he wasn't going to the league or anything like that? Of course, if there's any personal reasons or moving back home, I can understand that completely. But as of right now, the only information we have, it seems to be based off of this NIL.
And now you look at what Nate Oates did last year, rolling that roster over after losing Miller and Clowney and Bediako and Quinterly and Burnett and I hadn't even thought much about it, but Jaden Bradley too. I left after his freshman year. I don't even mention him much, but how good a player would he have been this past season with Alabama? And then he was able to put a roster together that went to the Final Four. Well, it looks now like it's going to be very similar circumstances.
Like an every year thing, apparently.
Yeah, Chris Parker's already gone in the portal. Rylan Griffin. You don't know what the situation is going to be with Grant Nelson and Mark Sears as far as the NBA is concerned. You don't know Nick Pringle's status. We're expecting some other players that have not announced yet so I won't say their name because they haven't announced anything on it, but there's 2 or 3 others that we're expecting to go into the portal. So you're looking at probably as many as a half dozen new players on this roster for 24-25.
Definitely. And I'll give Nate Oates credit because he is already on the portal and looking to fill in his roster, even though I think with Rylan leaving, we're at the scholarship limit. But like you said, who knows what news will break in the coming rest of this next week. I think a guard out of USF, Youngblood's his last name we're looking at. And then rumor has it that a center, a really tall 7-foot, I believe, center out of Rutgers was on campus the other day. Omori is his last name. He was visiting as well.
Yeah, he's a real priority, I think, for Alabama. Oh, heck, I lost my train of thought. It was going to be a follow-up on basketball. But, I know what it was. You know what else happened yesterday? Austin Klontz got introduced at UTSA as the new head coach, and I listened to some of his press conference and actually ran a clip on the sports last night, and he was obviously just complimentary to Nate Oates. And he only spent 1 year here, but you could tell in 1 year how much he was impacted by Nate Oates. And he just said, listen, Alabama is about to roll. I mean, he went on and on about Nate Oates and said, as you would expect, that, hey, I'm going to implement a style here that's very similar to what we did at Alabama. Talking about Chris Youngblood real quick, because his hometown is listed as Tuscaloosa, and he was born here, and I think might have lived here as a child. He played high school basketball over in Georgia before going to Kennesaw State, but you're right. I think that he'll be a high priority now with Rylan Griffin in the portal to maybe fill that role. He's about 6'4", excellent shooter, Kennesaw State, USF, and possibly now Alabama.
Yeah, the scouting that I have on him or have done so far, I'm not sure about the defensive side of the ball, but Nate Oates definitely has a type when he's looking for his guards, and it's the 3 ball. And Youngblood can definitely shoot the 3.
No doubt. All right, we're going to get to the break. When we come back, we're going to do our Krispy Kreme Donuts giveaway. Get ready to get on the phone line, and we'll have a little trivia tidbit, and then we'll take a certain caller to be our winner for today, and my interview with Kalen DeBoer from yesterday over at the Malmore Athletic Complex. That's what we got coming up, and of course a great song to get you into the next segment from our weekend list. That's all coming up on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama sports. Since 2011, Billy's Sports Grill, located on Main Avenue in historic downtown Northport, has been serving their legendary signature chicken sandwich, award-winning wings, and handcrafted cocktails. Billy's is also the spot to watch all your favorite sporting events with big screen, high-definition televisions, both dining rooms, at the bar, and outside.
Offering you 100% satisfaction and appointments set around your schedule. Give us a call for all your steam cleaning needs, 205-553-9460, Houston Hydro Steam. Quality work you can stand on.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A beautiful spring day today with a sunny sky, the high 70. Clear tonight, the low 45. For the weekend, a warming trend. Lots of sunshine tomorrow and Sunday. The high tomorrow 79. The high Sunday afternoon at 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 63 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Where the season never ends. This is your home of Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Jumping music, slick DJs, fog machines, and laser rays. Look out, weekend, cause we
Look out, weekend. Debbie Deb brings us back into the Gary Harris Show, 1016. All right, it's time for our Krispy Kreme Donuts giveaway, and then we're going to roll right into my interview with Kalen DeBoer from yesterday. All right. I always try to think of a little tidbit to give you. We've been basketball the last couple of weeks. Today, we're going to focus on football. And the jerseys now with the no numbers restrictions, I mean, it's going to be crazy. And Jaheim Otis, who is 6'5" and 320 pounds, is rehabbing this spring. So he's not been out there practice. He's been doing some rehab work. But he wore number 91, which is a very common number for a guy that's a defensive lineman at 6'5" and 320 pounds. Well, he's not going to be wearing number 91 this year. I'm still having a hard time getting used to this. Jaheim Otis, when you look out on the field, is going to be wearing a quarterback's number. He's going to be wearing number 10. Jaheim Otis is number 10 now. Justin, I still can't wrap my arms around it, but that is going to be his number. So that is going to be our little trivia tidbit or football tidbit. Jaheim Otis changing from jersey 91 to number 10 this year as a defensive lineman. So we will take the 10th caller right now at 205-342-9904 on the Krispy Kreme Donuts hotline, 205-342-9904. The 10th caller will win donuts for a year and a 100% heavy cotton Krispy Kreme t-shirt from Krispy Kreme in Tuscaloosa, Evan Smith and the good folks there. So the phone lines will light up, and we'll get the 10th caller, and Justin will get your name and your phone number. And right now we're going to roll right into my interview yesterday with Alabama head football coach Kalen DeBoer.
Oftentimes when you take over a program, it's a rebuilding situation. In this case, you're taking over a program like Washington that was in the college football playoff, that's won 6 national championships since 2009, and recruiting-wise has been at the top of the rankings for a long, long time. Roster-wise, how unique is that to step into a situation where you're taking over a program that's on top and not at the bottom trying to build it?
It's really unique. It's the first time in a long time I've been a part of that. The only thing I can really equate it to would be taking over at the University of Falls, where we went to the playoffs, and the year before I was the coordinator at the time. So that transition was pretty smooth there. But a lot of times when you've come in, it's a losing record that you're kind of taking over for. So it has been unique. It's been awesome, kind of coming into a culture and just trying to add to it and bring a piece of what, the pieces of what I would like it to be. But a lot of the foundation, the discipline, the work ethic, the expectations, a lot of that was in place. And so, you're really focused on continuing to add, with the roster and staff to get to where we need to be and fill the holes as needed.
You've been on the job 3 months. Your 13 practices into spring. So, obviously it's your program, but you hit the ground running so fast. Does it feel like your program? Now, have you been here long enough and established enough with your coaching staff and your culture that it feels like this is Kalen DeBoer's football program?
Yeah, the day-to-day, every day we're getting the processes down, refining them, the communication, everything's just happening in a better way. And it's a combination of the staff we retained, the staff that we brought in, And I love how our staff has been open to, doing things differently than how maybe they had done them, but also just the whole focus on it being better, better for our guys, better for, just everything moving forward. So it's been awesome. I feel really good about the direction that we're all headed right now.
I've been around coaches my whole life as a sportscaster. They always tell me coaching's coaching, whether it's high school or the highest level. But Coach Oates talks a lot about when he got here, he was 6 years removed from being a high school coach. Now it's 11. You're 8 years removed from being the offensive coordinator at Eastern Michigan. Is it really the same at every level? Is coaching at Alabama the same as coaching at Sioux Falls or coaching as an assistant at Eastern Michigan? Or is it different?
I think the day-to-day duties are certainly different from a head coach to, let's go, Sioux Falls or even Fresno State. But I think that when it really comes down to the main thing, coaching is still coaching. Football, the X's and O's, the concepts are really the same. The window dressing, the details, it might, a lot of that depends on the amount of quality control coaches you have, and just the details and the drawings and things like that you might do in your installs. I mean, those are the things in the areas where you just, with a little extra support, might be able to be a little bit more detailed. But I think as far as what you're trying to teach, what you're trying to be as a team, all those core values, those non-negotiables in the program, I really feel like they're very consistent, the same. The pyramid I use that lays out what I want us to be is about 95% the same pyramid that it was 15, 20 years ago.
Following Coach Saban, somebody had to do it. It's you. I've talked to some people that know you, and they say he's so comfortable in his own skin, and he respects Coach Saban, wants to lean on him when he needs to. But that ability to be you and not feel the need to try to follow what was done here in the past, but to be your own man and your own coach, how important is that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just about being in this moment and impacting this program, these guys, enjoying everything that revolves around the fan base, just trying to make the biggest impact that I can in a positive way, here at Alabama. So that means that all the history that surrounds this program, the alumni, Coach Saban, the other great coaches that have been here over many years, man, that's what it's all about, I think about who wouldn't want to be in my shoes, and that's a blessing, and it's something I don't take lightly, and there's great expectations, and I think of that as also something too. It's just the expectations are going to be there no matter where I'm at. Those expectations, and I'm going to be the hardest critic on myself more than anyone else, and so. It's just been awesome being here. This program's got the bones of just championship feel. You can walk in the building, and it doesn't take long to have that vibe. And now it's just a matter of leading and making it ours and doing it the way we want to do it.
You were really building something special at the University of Washington, and you said you weren't looking to leave.
Yeah.
I mentioned taking over the program here and it being at the top. You left a strong program, one that was playing for the national championship. Yeah. How good did that feel to leave Washington? Jedd Fisch gets to now benefit from that. To leave a program that was that healthy, that really, when you got there, you had to build it up in a short period of time.
Yeah, I'm super proud of what we accomplished there in 2 years at Washington, and it would never have been done without great support there, administrative support, staff, and the fan base was unreal, and my family and I are, never going to forget the great times and the way we were accepted there in the Seattle community. But, I think having the opportunity to come here, and again, I think this was, I don't want to say once in a lifetime, but I think this was an opportunity that was just, the one that you got to really seriously look at. And being here has not disappointed one bit. It's been just an amazing time, 3 months in, and I can see what Word can become. And I can't wait to continue to take those steps to get the championships and do it how I've done it at different places with this staff and with this team.
You're a head coach, but you're an offensive guy. I want to ask you about the quarterbacks, because obviously you've got Jalen Milrose did a great job last year. You inherited a starting quarterback, but you've got Ty Simpson behind him, who's very talented. You got Lonergan. You brought in Austin Mack. How do you, understanding and respecting that he's the starter, but keep those other quarterbacks engaged. Is there a quarterback competition? Do they know that he is going to be the starter in the fall? What have you told them? Is there going to be a competition coming out of spring that continues into fall camp, or is Jalen Milroe etched in stone as the starting quarterback?
Yeah, Jalen's taken all his reps with the ones, and there's been guys that take reps with the ones just because we're trying to divvy up a practice day and reps amongst all of them. But that room is so talented, and there's a lot of guys that got some starts on, that are going to be under their belt here before it's all said and done. When they finish their careers here, and so I'm excited about the growth. I'm excited about the competitiveness. They're all amazing, just great people. And they all have the potential to be like really good football players, and you can see the growth that they have each and every day. They're competitive amongst themselves, but they also understand the team is first and foremost.
Coach, I want to ask you about the playoff. You got into the 14 playoff. Obviously, the expectation here is to be in the playoff every year, but now it is expanded to 12 teams. Do you like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it gives those teams that really are right on the fringe and maybe had one loss where there was an injury or anything like that earlier in the season. It gives them a chance to go make a run at a championship. And I think this last year there were multiple teams that could have done exactly that. And I've been a part of the playoff field. A field of 16. It's a special time. It's a special time for the fan base. It's a special time for the players. The feeling and vibes that you have when you're getting ready for a week and it's a do or die situation that's going to happen on Saturday. It's intense, and I think there's a certain makeup of people that thrive in that moment and some that either try to do too much or just lock up. I've seen it all. And really looking forward to the playoff style and what's to come there.
When you took the job, the critics, they said, yeah, he's a good football coach, but this is a different world in recruiting. Even though you'd been in the Big Ten too, it's going to eat him alive. Saw what happened to Brian Harsin at Auburn. That hasn't been the case. You've recruited well. You've had a lot of the top prospects. I told people recruiting under Kalen DeBoer doesn't look a lot different than it did under Nick Saban. I know that's not what you're concerned with in terms of the critics, but recruiting, I guess, is recruiting at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's all about building relationships and trust, and having these young men that are coming to our program feel great about their development, their growth, and the parents feeling good about how their sons are going to be treated. And this program, has got all the resources for these guys to be great. And coming in and I get it. It's intense down here. It's competitive. There's a lot of schools that are very close to each other. But I have a staff around me that I really feel has many of those same priorities in place with building relationships. They're intense when it comes to evaluation, and they're intensity on how they want to build these relationships. It's important to them, and they get it. And so I love the organization we have as far as just who's in place from Courtney Morgan as the general manager on down, and then I love the way our assistant coaches have embraced and just been all in. It's not a surprise because it's who they were when they were at their places before they came here.
Yeah, it's amazing. You blended the staff, and it feels like you guys have been together forever. One more, and Saturday won't be a football game like it'll be in the fall, but it's going to be a game. Yeah. Fans are going to be here in large numbers. What do you think that's going to feel like for you leading that team out? And what are your expectations in terms of what you'd like to see get accomplished in what really is a scrimmage, but it's going to feel like a game?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a great day for just everyone to come together, celebrate Alabama football. The way I look at it, and this is the coach come out in me, is this is a practice 15. We need to get better practice 15. But I also want to, hopefully have the times where you can see and highlight guys, highlight sides of the ball, highlight position groups that go out there and do some awesome things. And I hope there's some oohs and ahs, that are had. And first and foremost, I really hope we get out of it and we're healthy. That's the big deal, so it can transition to, the summer and our continual growth as a team.
Thank you, Coach. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
I really do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Time that out perfectly, Justin. It's 10:29, and we're due to hit the break. And when we come back, it's the Auburn Report with Brett Pritchard. But really do I want to again stress to you, I hope you enjoyed that interview. I enjoyed it and had a great time sitting down with Kalen DeBoer, man. Just an easy to talk to, very humble guy. All right, we'll be back with Brett Pritchard, Talk Auburn. And they had their 8A game last week. We'll recap it next here on the Gary Harris Show.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your...
We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Visit PattersonComerLawFirm.com.
No representations made that legal services provided by Patterson Comer is greater than any other legal services performed by any other lawyer.
My caretaker was very rough with me. I thought they did it because I wasn't moving fast enough.
Elder abuse is a crime, and together we can stop it. If you or someone you know has been abused, neglected, or exploited, call the Adult Abuse Hotline at 1-800-458-7214. That's 1-800-458-7214.
So great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
If you haven't already, you've got to try Tuscaloosa's unique breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept. Brick and Spoon, downtown Tuscaloosa at Timerson Square. It's fresh food with a Cajun flair featuring a full bar with build-your-own Bloody Marys and mimosas. Open daily, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Available for after-hours events, rehearsal dinners, receptions, and birthdays. They offer brunch and lunch catering. Call Brick and Spoon at 205-345-5551 for more information.
Covering University of Alabama sports, as well as the national and local scene as well. The Gary Harris Show, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
.32. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. Eye of the Tiger means one thing on this program. It's Brett Pritchard time with the Auburn Report. Brett Pritchard from the Auburn Blitz joins us on Fridays to break it down with what's going on with the Auburn Tigers. How's it going, buddy?
It's good, Gary. How are you, buddy?
Doing well, man. Been a busy week. Going to start with baseball because I know that it's the same story. I mean, these one-run losses, of course, and it happens sometimes in a midweek game, but nobody, I think, expected Auburn to lose to Alabama State on Tuesday night, 3-2 at Plainsman Park. But then last night, you open up they're all big in the SEC, a big SEC series at home against number 8 Kentucky, and another one-run loss. And now you got 2 more to play tonight and Saturday, but it just seems like the same song and dance. Auburn just can't break out of this, really what kind of now is becoming a season-long slump.
Yeah, it's been a rough go here in the beginning. I guess now toward the middle of the season, and we were talking about this yesterday. This is a polar opposite result from last year. Now I know Auburn finished 12-3 coming down the stretch, but for the most part, you look at it. They won one-run games, 2-run games last year. Right. And then the year before, Butch Thompson talked about how they couldn't get over the hump. And this is almost like we're back to where we were a couple of years ago. That's the margin of error in this league, Gary. It's not very much. A timely hit here, a key pitch. Last night Auburn was tied up, and they were in a situation where they looked like they were in good shape. And you make a pitch, you groove a pitch right down the middle, and the guy hits it out. And, it's been the story of this pitching staff. It just cannot come up with the timely out when they need it. And, and vice versa. I know Auburn's bats have been really good this year, but they've missed some opportunities there as well, to get timely hits. I go back to that Arkansas series, and there were a couple opportunities in that 1-0 loss. Had second and third with 1 out one time, had bases loaded with no outs, I believe, and didn't get anything. And you can't do that against. And I believe Arkansas struck the side out after that. After we got bases loaded, they struck the side out. And granted, they're the number 1 team in the country. But you lose a 1-0 game, you lose a 5-4 game, and you win an 8-6 game. And that's against the number one team in the nation.
Right.
I mean, and so you're looking at this record and you're going, man, Auburn's terrible. But, you know, you're right there. And you know, my good buddy Jason Caldwell and I talked, and he's like, man, just cannot get things to go the right way. You know, the midweek game this past week against Alabama State. You lose the game 3-2. Pitching finally comes through, and then your bats go cold. And I know Bobby Pierce and Ike Irish weren't in the lineup with some injuries, but man, you gotta figure out a way to battle through that kind of stuff. So I don't know, Gary. It's to the point. I think Coach Thompson, after the Tennessee series, kind of issued a apology. I don't think he needs to apologize to anybody. You know, he's a great coach. He didn't wake up this week and just forget how to coach baseball. Right. I mean, sometimes things just don't work out, and things don't go your way, as opposed to last year where it seemed like Auburn could do no wrong coming down the stretch. So it's frustrating. I mean, in baseball, it's a very, I mean, most sports are mental, but baseball is really mental. At the plate, pitching, defense, making throws, they just need something to go their way. And, you know, you just got to keep plowing, I guess, is the old terminology, and they'll have another shot at Kentucky again. But you look at the string, and again, this sounds like an excuse, but it's not. I mean, Auburn, they have to play who they play, but man, this league is maybe even better than we've even seen in the past, Gary, and that's saying a lot. You got Texas A&M. Who thought Kentucky would be where they are right now? I mean, we kind of figured out that Arkansas would be pretty good, but man, I tell you, this league is, if you don't show up every single night, you get your doors blown off.
Yeah, it's unforgiving, man. And let me ask you this, because I think it's been kind of glossed over because of NIL, and clearly NIL gives you an opportunity to give players as much money as you want to give them. But there's a lot of different sports competing for NIL money too. With Alabama and Auburn situation, I still think, and again, nobody wants to talk about it because now they're going to say, well, you can pay players, who cares? But there's still no lottery money in this state, and there's a lot of schools benefiting from not only NIL, but still having more scholarship opportunities. I guess that's it just seems like in this state it's never going to change. I mean, I hear the word lottery now come up, and I don't even think realistically it's ever going to be implemented. But the fact of the matter is that there's still only two schools in this conference that operate the way they have to operate, and that's Alabama and Auburn. Even in Mississippi now, gambling money and waiving out-of-state tuition. So I know people they're tired of hearing it, and it's not an excuse, but it is a fact. Alabama and Auburn, when it comes to college baseball in this conference, are still behind the eight ball.
No, I don't know if somebody's heard our show all week, and that's what we talked about. And I've defended Alabama and Auburn on our show. I'm like, look, you're not playing with the same deck of cards everybody else is, and it's because of the state we're in, and that's just the bottom line. Now, again, you can't blame everything on the state of Alabama, but we are at a disadvantage. 11.7 scholarships, well, everybody else has 11.72, but they have supplemental ways to help their athletes. And, you know, we talked to several people that called our show this week, and they said, well, we got NIL. I said, well, so does everybody else. You know, it's not the injection of NIL didn't all of a sudden bring Auburn and Alabama up to a even playing field when it comes to baseball, because Auburn and Alabama are having to use NIL to get to the point where their players don't have to pay anything. Well, at LSU, at Florida, at Ole Miss, Mississippi State, at Texas A&M, they can get a full ride through different means, and then they can get NIL to put in their pocket. So if you're battling with one of those schools and it comes down to that, you're going to lose almost every time. And so, again, it sounds like a loser mentality. I mean, and people can interpret it however they want. And that's what I said on our show this week. It kind of makes what Butch Thompson, what he's done over the last 5 years even more special, that he's been able to put two College World Series teams together, host multiple regionals, go to Oregon State a couple of years ago, the best team in the country, and beat them at their place, and be able to go to Omaha off that win. I mean, it's amazing what he's been able to navigate and do. And again, like I said, he didn't wake up and forget how to coach. It's just, you've almost got to be perfect. And, you know, it's kind of like, you're talking about gambling, it's kind of like sitting at the roulette wheel. Eventually you think it's going to hit your color. Well, it doesn't ever have to hit your color. It can be black every time you spin the wheel. Well, you think in baseball, well, eventually these one-run games are going to go our way or something's going to – well, not necessarily. I mean, if you don't have the talent, and I'm not saying Auburn doesn't have good talent, they do, but they don't have the depth some of these other teams have. And if you aren't perfect every night, you're probably going to get beat. So, again, people can interpret that however they want, but that's why Auburn and Alabama will always be at a disadvantage. Doesn't mean they can't put a good team together here and there and make a run, but it just makes it very difficult.
Softball-wise, got LSU in Baton Rouge this weekend, and I guess, with Mickey Dean already announcing that this is his final season, players are going to play hard. They're trying to win games. He's trying to coach hard, but yet you are kind of in a lame duck situation. And a lot of these players, I know it's just human nature, with where you're at in the conference standings right now, do you worry that, at 3-9, that some of these players are already looking ahead to next year, whether it's at Auburn or somewhere else? Do you worry about being able to keep this team together, knowing that the coach isn't coming back next year?
No, I don't know, Gary. That it comes down to a player.
Right.
And I would like to think if you're a competitor and you have an opportunity every day in front of you, you want to go out and do the best you can. And what a coach does shouldn't – I know it impacts it, but, I mean, they still have a chance, Gary, here sitting at 3-9 with the remaining schedule. I agree. So if I'm Auburn, if I'm on that team, I'm going, look, we got great pitching. We got to figure a few things out. We've had some really good games midweek. We just had another shutout, no-hitter. Build off that. Figure out how to translate that over into SEC play. And, again, you still have, I think, 4 series ahead of you in the SEC tournament. There's a lot of softball left to be played. And, again, they're a little bit different than Auburn baseball. They've been able to steal a game here or there. And Auburn has been swept a couple of times. And, getting that one win has kept Auburn a little bit in this thing. So, and the schedule kind of eases up coming down the stretch for them as well. So, we'll just have to wait and see. And again, I think if I'm a player on that team, I'm trying to do everything I can to, Auburn was one pitch away from winning the SEC tournament last year.
Mm-hmm.
You just you just have an opportunity each and every day you go out. So, and then when the season's over, again, in every single sport, I mean, you don't know who's going to stay or who's going to go because of the portal. So you just kind of play it day by day.
Football last weekend with A-Day, and, you've been on covering spring all spring for us here on the show. And again, it's spring football. Right. It's hard to get too much information, but what did you see from the Tigers in that game that encouraged you, and maybe what did you see that maybe gives you cause for concern?
Well, we got another field goal kicker.
Hey, will that ever end? I mean, Auburn's always got a kicker.
I don't know. We've got 2 great kickers. I mean, Nick Pearson was injured, so he wasn't able to play, who's a great kicker and going to be the starter, I think, until Towns Magoo emerged and went 7-7 and kicked a 58-yarder. I mean, what a great effort by that young man, coming from Auburn High School and doing what he was able to do and getting the special teams MVP and really, to me, MVP of the whole game. But, I'll start with quarterbacks. It was about what we thought. Peyton Thorne was 9 of 13 for 133 yards, had a touchdown. That throw to Cam Coleman, which was unbelievable. What a great play he made. And then, again, I think Peyton Thorne's your quarterback. And unless they go in the portal or unless, Hugh Freeze feels like he's got to go do something, I think he's gonna go with Peyton Thorne and hope that Walker White can really take this year to learn. I know Auburn's really looking to sign a big-time quarterback in this year's class as well. So, I think Peyton Thorne under this new offense maybe can grow and get better and learn from what he did last year. So that's where I'll begin. I think the rest of the guys, Holden Gerner was 7 of 10, but he's 46 yards. Hank Brown was 5 of 12, I believe. I think he had about 100 yards, but half of it was on one play to Cam Coleman. So I think obviously on offense, you look at Cam Coleman, man, he was what he was advertised to be, and he's a special player. And Coach Freeze said he makes us different, and there's no doubt he would make a lot of teams different. That you can see why everybody wanted him. And it's been a while since Auburn had a really special playmaker at wide receiver. And you go add in Bryce Kane and Malcolm Simmons and Perry Thompson along with, a couple of those other guys like Robert Lewis, who I thought looked good, and Camden Brown looked good finally. Been there 3 years. I think Auburn's wide receiving core could be a strength depending on how fast they mature. So running back, Damari Austin really looked good to me. He's got a burst, but he's a power runner. And also Jeremiah Cobb only had 12 yards rushing, but, he's going to be very good. I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities this year. Didn't see much of Jarquez Hunter and Brian Battie, but we know what they can do. So I think that was an opportunity to get some of these other guys some carries. On defense, starting with the defensive line, I think Malik Blockton's going to be a kid to watch, the true freshman from Pike Road. Extremely high motor, very physical up front. I called a couple of his games this year, saw him in person, and man, he already looks like he belongs in the SEC. And so I'm excited to see kind of how he plays out this year. And then you look at linebacker Robert Woodyard, Austin Keys, and DeMarcus Riddick all got in there. We know what Eugene Asante can do, but watch DJ Barber and Joseph Phillips as freshmen as well. I think they're going to be really, really good. And then the MVP of the defense was Jaron Thompson, the transfer from Texas. Had 3 tackles and a sack. Man, he is an immediate need in that secondary where Auburn lost a couple of really, really good players. And then you were able to obviously get Keontae Scott back. So the secondary not looking near as thin as people thought when you have him and Kyan Lee and the transfer from Alabama, Antonio Kite, who will obviously get a lot of playing time this year. So that's kind of a summation, Gary, of some of the guys that I can remember off the top of my head. And I think, again, this league is brutal. I didn't even say anything about the offensive line. It's really hard to tell in an 8-day game. But I think this offensive line definitely looks different. I think they're more athletic. And I think Coach Free said they want to be a 60-40 run-pass team. Well, you know what? To be able to do that, you got to be able to throw the ball a little bit sometimes to set up the run. So to kind of loosen some people up in the box. So I think they'll be able to do that with some of the playmakers they have. And then with a slew of running backs Auburn has, Auburn could really be pretty good on offense running the football.
Brett Pritchard with the Auburn Report. Lastly, the excitement for Auburn going back to becoming a Nike school in 2025, away from Under Armour, which I think they got some sharp apparel, but it is what it is. It's they're having some financial issues, and for whatever reason, it just has not resonated with kids the way that Nike does. So I sense there's a lot of excitement for Auburn folks that they're going back to Nike in 2025.
Absolutely. I think, and I had some people ask on our show this week, they said, well, I don't understand all the excitement in changing an apparel dealer. And I said, well, first of all, I said, anything in this world, when you have change, it brings excitement a lot of times. And, Nike is the premier marketing company in the world. And, the athletes they've signed and the affiliations, Auburn's got 2 Hall of Fame guys that were endorsed by Nike, Charles Barkley and Bo Jackson, and everybody knows who those 2 are. So that's really going to ramp up that marketing side as well. And, just a lot of ties. And, some things that Under Armour did and, the way their company sits right now as opposed to where it was in 2015 when Auburn re-signed their original deals changed. Their stock has dropped a lot. And, they had a $10 million deal with stock options that they were hoping would go up. And now that's worth $1.2 million. Of course, that's a gamble. That's like any of us in the stock market. You kind of take a risk to see if you can gain money instead of just keep what you have, on an even keel. So, but I think the move to Nike really going to help from a marketing standpoint, really going to help from a recruiting. I've already heard, through several people in the athletic department that they're already seeing a change with some of the recruits and some of the people that they're recruiting and even the current players. And I think the Auburn student athletes had as much to do with this as anybody, because, John Cohen and all the coaches polled the players and polled the each team. And I think they unanimously said they wanted to go with Nike. So you listen to your players, you listen to the people out there that make the decisions. And I think that's what inevitably won out.
Great stuff as always, and fill the listeners in again on the Auburn Blitz.
Yes, sir. At 12 o'clock, we'll be with you, and Jason Caldwell will be on. We'll get his thoughts on everything that's going on and some recruiting information. We didn't really go into that today, Gary. We didn't get enough time, but, Auburn getting a big offensive lineman, and we'll talk about that some with Jason.
Yep, absolutely. All the Auburn recruiting talk coming up on the Auburn Blitz today at noon. Thanks, my friend.
Hey, thank you, Gary.
All right, 10:51. We're going to come back and wrap up the Gary Harris Show. And let me go ahead and mention our winner of the Krispy Kreme Donuts giveaway from today. It is Matt Jones. Matt Jones is our winner. Gets donuts for a year from Krispy Kreme and one of those beautiful Krispy Kreme heavy cotton, 100% cotton T-shirts. And we'll do it again next Friday. We'll be back to wrap up the show right after this. Los Tarascos has been serving Mexican favorites like burritos, fajitas, and quesadillas since 1999. Their new location is at 4100 Owen Parkway in Northport. And, of course, you can find Los Tarascos in Tuscaloosa at 110 Skyland Boulevard. The bar areas feature big screen television so you can enjoy your favorite sporting events. Los Tarascos features daily happy hour specials. And for the best Mexican cuisine in West Alabama, remember, the name is Los Tarascos with locations in Tuscaloosa and Northport.
Life doesn't wait for when your finances are in perfect order. It just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages.
$4.99. 800-357-6499.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 special. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Get a meat and 3 vegetables for just $8.49. Or for a lighter appetite, try the Lucky Lunch soup, salad, or sandwich combo. I'll see you at the Free.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A beautiful spring day today with a sunny sky, the high 70. Clear tonight, the low 45. For the weekend, a warming trend. Lots of sunshine tomorrow and Sunday. The high tomorrow 79. The high Sunday afternoon at 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 64 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Your home for Alabama Crimson Tide football. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Winding it down for another week here on the Gary Harris Show. I do need to remind you this hour has been brought to you by Patterson Comer Attorneys at Law. Patterson Comer is dedicated to serving our clients. Integrity and excellence are the driving force behind the firm and its staff. Clients and prospective clients are treated with respect and care. I know this personally. I've used Patterson Comer in the past, and they are absolutely first-class lawyers and first-class individuals. So if you've got a legal need that's a result of a personal injury, automobile accident, wrongful death, product liability, 18-wheeler accident, give them a call. Their business is to take care of your needs. Paul's in Tuscaloosa at 205-345-1000. Mike's in Northport at 205-759-3939. Patterson Comer Law Firm. The commitment to serve our clients does not stop at the end of the workday. We are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. PattersonComerLawFirm.com.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of services performed by other lawyers.
All right, we've talked about it all week, but this is a huge sports weekend for the University of Alabama. Again, a reminder, we've got baseball tonight, Saturday, and Sunday against number 1 ranked Arkansas. You've got softball Saturday, Sunday, and Monday against Texas A&M. You've got A-Day tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock, televised live on ESPN, and, of course, carried on the radio here on Town Square family of stations with Chris Stewart and Tyra Watts. And you got a men's tennis match this afternoon. There's just a ton going on, and the weather is going to be absolutely splendid. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Really glad we could bring you that interview with Kalen DeBoer yesterday. And also want to thank Rob Brown and Brett Pritchard for joining us as well. And I'll be back here on Monday, and we'll recap the weekend. Alabama, and, of course, the Masters, too, will be in the books. And we'll have Casey Smith on golf and Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. That's coming up on Monday. I want to thank all our great sponsors for making the show possible. T-Town Sports Daily is coming up next at 11 a.m., followed by the Miller's Edge from noon until 2. And then Ryan Fowler will take you home with the game from 2 until 6. Catch me on TV tonight with the local sports on WVOA 23. For Justin Jones, I'm Gary Harris. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you on Monday.
Too many romantic dreams.